Did you miss me? It's good to be back. I was out of town last week, got back yesterday, so back to the grind today with the college football videos, and I'm excited. This is probably my favorite part of the off season is when I get ready to do these team by team and game by game prediction videos. This is a series I started doing, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and it's evolved a little bit over the years, but the basic premise has stayed the same. I pick a team, I put their schedule up on the screen, and instead of looking at the schedule as a whole and looking at the team and going, well, probably looks like they're going to be somewhere around 8-4, maybe 9-3, whatever, which is sort of how most predictions are. You know, you just say, well, I think they're going 10-2. Like that's hard to do. Obviously, you know, I know on the internet, nobody's ever picked a game wrong. I get it. Believe me, I see it in my comments every Sunday during the season. It's filled with people telling me that they picked every single game right the day before. But over here in the real world, it's pretty hard to predict games on a weekly basis during the season. It's especially hard to predict a team's or try to predict a team's overall record in June. And the hardest thing imaginable, which is what an idiot like me tries to do for reasons still unknown, is to not only try to predict the team's record, but if they're going to lose games, predict which teams they'll lose to. And that's really where it becomes the most difficult. Like I said, I'll just take Georgia for an example. I'm obviously Georgia's my favorite team. I think everybody on this channel should know that by now. Georgia's my favorite. I don't hide it. I'm a college football fan, but Georgia's my favorite team. It would be one thing to look at Georgia's schedule, and I'll put it up on the screen right here now, but it would be one thing to look at this schedule and go, man, you know, it's a tough schedule. 3 tough road games there, Bama, Ole Miss, and Texas. You know, I don't know. You know, maybe 10-2. Maybe they win 1 out of those 3 road games. Maybe they win 2 out of those 3 road games, but drop a home game somewhere. Like, it's one thing to do that. It's another thing to actually go through the schedule game by game and go, okay, I think they're going to beat Bama, lose to Ole Miss, and beat Texas. Like, exactly like that. And that's how I do it. And I do that for as many teams as I can do, starting basically from now through the end of the season. We're going to start these videos up tomorrow, the 1st of June. When I first started doing this, I used to wait till around the middle of July or like right after July 4th to do it. But what ends up happening, honestly, is I just run out of time before the start of the season to do all the prediction videos that I want to do. One other issue with that was occurring that has caused me to move these prediction videos up into June is when I sit down to start doing these prediction videos, they're one after another every single day, sometimes 2 a day. If something breaks in the world of college football, if there's some sort of breaking news story in the world of college football that occurs from the middle of July on to the start of the season, and I've got to spend a day or 2 talking about that, then that puts me even further behind getting to all the teams and predicting all the teams' records that I wanted to do. Burnout is also another thing. You know, I like being able to do these videos because one of the hardest things or most difficult things about being a college football content creator during the off season is just coming up with something to talk about every single day in the off season. Now, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've actually been pretty lucky as content creators because there's been a ton of college football related news occur during the offseason, whether you're talking about conference realignments, conference expansions, conferences going away, the sort of invention of the transfer portal a few years ago, the changes to all the transfer rules, NIL came into play, and all of this stuff sort of happened, or the news of a lot of these things, it tended to break during the offseason. So it gave us a lot to talk about. But that, under normal conditions, you go back 10 years ago, the only news that ever occurred in the offseason was a player somewhere maybe getting arrested or something like that. So we've been a little bit lucky the last 2 or 3 years with a bunch of news. But what happens is when I sit down to do these prediction videos and I do them day after day after day after day, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you get a little burnout, at least I do, of doing basically the same video over and over again every single day just for a different team. So by starting the videos earlier, in June rather than waiting until the middle of July, it gives me an opportunity to make videos about other things over the course of the next 2 or 3 months, and still giving myself plenty of time to complete the list of teams that I need to complete on my prediction videos. Now, just like I've done in years past, I think most of you know I have a Patreon page. Shout out to everybody over on the Patreon page, by the way. I would not be able to do what I do full-time, year-round, if it weren't for the support I get over on the Patreon page. So a big shout out to everybody over there. And I'm always trying to come up with ways or things I can do to reward the people over on the Patreon page. Obviously, we do a ton of Patreon-only streams, especially during the college football season, and we have a lot of fun on those, and they're really popular. And that's why most people are signed up on the Patreon page. But I'm always trying to come up with new ideas or new things that I can do specifically for the people over on the Patreon page to hopefully make them feel like they're getting something for what they're giving to me. And one of the things that we've done every year here on the channel with these prediction videos is allow them to choose the teams that I do the prediction videos for. So what happens, and I did this about a week ago, is I put a post up on my Patreon page. Patreon works basically like a Facebook page, by the way, except for I'm the only one that can make posts on it, and everyone else just can reply to those posts. But that's sort of the general setup of the Patreon page and how it works if you've never been over there. So I made a post a week or so ago. I'm looking at it now. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, May 15th. And it says, it's almost time. Prediction videos will start in the beginning of June. Leave your comment down below. Let me know which team you'd like me to do. I will pull from this list before I do any other teams. Thank you for all your support. So basically what I do starting tomorrow is I will get up, I will come over to this Patreon page, and I will start scrolling through the comments on this post. And I'll pick a team, and I'll do a game-by-game prediction for that team, as well as a little bit of a preview of that team. So we talk about basically how they finished up last season, any key players they might have lost, new key players coming in, whether that be true freshmen, potential impact freshmen, or of course now with the transfer portal, you have a lot of that going on, right? We take a look at sort of each position unit on that team and talk about them a little bit. We talk about the coaching situation. Is it a consistent coaching situation there? Do they have a new head coach? Do they have all new coordinators? Whatever, 5 or 6 minutes on that. Then I put the schedule up on the screen. I go through it game by game. I give you my thoughts on each game on their schedule, and I tell you whether I think they're going to win or lose each individual game. So by the end of the video, not only have I given my prediction for that team's overall record, I have told you if there are losses, which games it is I think that team will lose. So I don't just put a schedule up and say, well, that looks like a pretty easy schedule relative to that team, so I think they're going 11-1. Which game will they lose? I don't know. Could be this one, could be that one, could be this one. I actually try to pinpoint the games I think they'll lose. Now, it's obviously very difficult to do, like I talked about, and I definitely don't have a 100% success rate. And every year, like usually in January, sometimes February, I make a video basically laughing at myself where I will go back and pull out some of the worst prediction videos I made, like the ones that I was the most wrong about. And I'll highlight them and let you all laugh at me. And then I'll point out a few that I either got exactly right or really, really close. But it is a difficult way to do predictions, but I think that's the best way for me to do it. So starting tomorrow, I'll come over to the Patreon page. I'll scroll through this list. I'll pick a team. I'll give you a preview and a game-by-game prediction for that team starting tomorrow and almost every single day over the next couple of months, leading us into August, of course, and the start of the season. If you're wondering which teams are on the list, and it's a long list already, and I'm not going to read off every single team, but you can probably figure or guess that most of the major teams or whatever are probably listed on here. I'm actually looking at this list right now for the first time, but just going off of years past. So someone's going to say Georgia. They just are. Someone's going to say Ohio State. Someone's going to say Texas. Someone's going to say Bama. Those are pretty much a given. They're going to be on the list every single year. Some of your bigger, more well-named top 5, top 10, top 20-ish type teams and programs, right? The really interesting ones are sort of the lesser knowns. And well, maybe not lesser knowns, but not the national title contenders, maybe, There's a lot of people on the Patreon page that are not fans of Georgia. In fact, less than half of the Patreon page are actually Georgia fans. So you got a lot of people that will, they'll comment their favorite team. They want to see a prediction for that or their favorite team's rival. or maybe just a team that's interesting to them for one particular reason or another. I'd be surprised if Colorado's not on this list somewhere. It probably is. You got teams that are interesting to me that I may do outside of the list, whoever that might, Nebraska, whatever the case. But I'm going to go through this entire list before I take suggestions from any other places. And in some years, I'm able to get through this list with a couple of weeks to spare and take suggestions from YouTube comments or Twitter or whatever else. There's been some years where it's been a struggle just to get through the Patreon list in time to start the season. So we'll just see how long this list gets over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks as I start to do these videos. But just taking a quick look here, Miami's on the list, Florida's on the list, Clemson, of course, Texas. Who else is on here? Alabama is on here, Michigan. Again, a lot of the big name teams are on here. Tennessee, Colorado is on here. Penn State is on here. There's others on there too. But anyway, you get the idea. Now, if you would like to join the Patreon page, which I would highly recommend and obviously would really appreciate, there's always a link in the description of all of my videos that will take you over to the Patreon page. You can have yourself a look around. Again, I'm always trying to come up with new things to do, new ideas, new ways to show appreciation to those of you who have chosen to support this channel through the Patreon page, because without it, I would not be where I'm at today. I would not be able to run this channel full time. I'd have to go out and dig ditches or bag groceries or back to, to whatever. So big shout out to everybody that is joined up over on the Patreon page. And again, if you want to check it out, there's a link in the description of the video. You can find this post. It's the first post there, and you can comment whatever team it is you want me to do a prediction for. Also, a lot of questions and comments about the college football game that's coming out. Yes, I'm getting it. Yes, I'll have it the day it comes out. Right now, the way I'm thinking it's probably going to go, probably everything will be on the Patreon page as far as that college football game goes. If I do any kind of dynasty or playing any head-to-head against some of you guys or whatever, or just exhibition games or simulations to see how the game plays out between certain teams, whatever, that's probably going to be something that occurs over on the Patreon page for a couple of reasons. One, I've already mentioned, I'm always looking for different things to do over there. Number two, although I know a lot of you are very excited about the college football game, and the ones of you that are excited are very vocal about it. I get it. Just kind of like the loud minority. The overwhelming majority of the people that watch this channel, though, just don't care about a video game. So I probably won't be uploading a lot of college football video game content to the main channel, but I will be doing live streams and all kinds of stuff with the college football game over on the Patreon page. I remember one year before with the NCAA 14 that we used to stream on here, we made a team out of the commenters in the comment section. So people were commenting their height and weight and what position they played in high school or whatever it is, and we would create a player like that and put them in the game. So we'll do a lot of that kind of thing over on the Patreon page. That game comes out July 18th or 19th, something like that, around the middle of July. So we'll have about a month or so to play the game before the season starts. I don't know how much video game content I'll do at all once the season starts, either Patreon or regular channel. But that video game is going to give a ton of content in every off season from now on going forward. And the majority of that will likely be over on the Patreon page. So again, the prediction videos will be starting this week. I took a week off to kind of regroup and refresh, because the prediction videos is sort of the start of the season for me. I realize that summer is just getting started and everybody's got vacations coming up and different things going on in the summer, and college football for a lot of you kind of gets pushed to the back burner. And I get that. But for me, in terms of real true preparation for the season, the season kind of starts for me with these prediction videos. I go through all these teams. Believe it or not, I do actually, I do a lot of research into these prediction videos. There's a lot of information that I look up. There are certain places I go every single year to get information about the teams. And I kind of, I sit here for an hour or two and make notes here, copious notes also, about every single team before I ever hit record on those videos. Now, I'm not saying that to say that means I get the record predictions right. Clearly I don't. But this is an opportunity for me to learn as much about these teams heading into the season as possible. Can I name every player on every team by the time I get done with these prediction videos? No, of course I can't. I'm not a professional media member. I'm not a professional journalist. I don't have a team of people. I don't have some stats and info department that I can rely on. This is a one-man band here, and it shows. It shows. But I do the best I can to research and learn as much as I can about each individual team before doing the record prediction, and I stand behind the predictions. Now, that doesn't mean that once the season starts that I may predict a game the other way when the game comes up during the season, right? You'd be an idiot to make a prediction in June and stick to it during the season no matter what. But in terms of trolling me or whatever else, you're welcome to use my preseason predictions against me. But just as an example, let's say during the prediction videos, I predict Notre Dame to go 10-2. And they lose their first 2 games of the season. And then in week 3, they lose half their offensive line to injuries. And then in week 4, their quarterback and 2 best wide receivers get injured and all those people are out for the year or whatever. I'd be an idiot to just rely on my preseason prediction every week from that point forward during the season when it came to predicting the Notre Dame games on a week-to-week basis. Obviously, you learn more and more about teams once the season starts as each week goes by. So, I might predict Georgia to beat Ole Miss on the road in these preseason prediction videos. The season might start and Ole Miss is blowing everybody out by 100 points and Georgia is struggling and for whatever reason is off to a bad start. I'm within my rights to then change my prediction on that Georgia-Ole Miss game when that game comes up during the season in terms of my weekly prediction videos that I do on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. But nothing will change my preseason predictions. Once I make the video and put that prediction out there for everybody to see and point and laugh at, nothing will change that. I'm not going to go back and delete any preseason prediction videos. They are what they are. You're free to troll me, right or wrong, on all of these preseason prediction picks. But I'm excited to start doing them. I know you guys are excited to start watching them. I get questions about these videos every single year, starting in about March. When are you going to start the prediction videos? I'm going to start them tomorrow. As far as which team I'll do tomorrow, I have no idea. Like I said, I'll get up tomorrow morning. I'll come over here to the Patreon page. I'll scroll through. I'll find a team that looks interesting to me for one particular reason or another off of this Patreon list. I'll do the preview and prediction video for that team. That'll start tomorrow. And my plan is to get out at least 4 or 5 of these a week. There'll be some weeks where it might be one every day, 7 or 8 in a week. If I do, I might do 2 in a day. If there's some sort of breaking news or whatever, maybe there's only 4 or 5 one particular week. But by starting in June, I should be able to get all the teams done that I need to get done. Appreciate you guys watching. It's great to be back. I'm ready to hit the ground running. This is the start of college football season for me. Have a good morning.